It is time for your favorite Android podcast from the crew of blindandroidusers.com. Kick back and enjoy another fine episode from these Google fanboys as they navigate Android from a blindness perspective. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello and welcome to episode 29 of the Blind Android Users podcast. I'm Ed Green, and this evening I'm with my co-hosts Warren Carr and Austin Pinto, and we are recording on Saturday, the 26th of June, 2021. On this episode, we have the usual announcements from Austin. Our Android Basics / must-have apps section this week looks at OCR apps for reading printed material. Do keep a lookout for our In Focus section, because that does indeed feature Google Lookout with an interview with Google. And our Android journey this week comes to you from John Dyer. How are we all doing, boys?
Great Saturday, Ed. Loving it. Bright sun out there. Can't wait to get this thing done and go sit out there in the sun and enjoy it. It's kind of getting hot today, but catch it while it's still good.
Something in Mumbai, Austin?
Yeah, it's a great Saturday, and the rain has disappeared for some reason, and it's become hot again. I don't know when the rain will come back. It's very bad.
It's a nice day here too. I went to the pub briefly. Then it started raining just as I was walking home, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, a good Saturday here too. So sunny and raining. So I'm guessing there's a rainbow somewhere. Over to you, Austin, then for the announcements.
So this week we have got very less in the field of announcements. It has become very easy now if you want to share the URL of our YouTube channel, because we have got a custom URL. Thank you to all the subscribers that we got it only after we achieved certain subscribers. So the custom URL, if you want to share the YouTube channel with your friend, is youtube.com/blindandroidusers. It is all one word, no capitals, no everything in small letters. So it's all one word, and you can easily share it now with your friends. And also we have got some extra content on YouTube because Google has changed the Play Store layout. So Warren has done a small demonstration on how to navigate the UI on the Play Store and how to find out everything. So that is it from the announcement section.
Thanks, Austin. Yeah, that'll be much easier to share the URL. And do keep an eye on the YouTube channel. We mentioned this a few podcasts ago and a few show notes ago, but we will be putting up more content on the YouTube channel than can fit in the podcast. So subscribe, and more importantly, ding the dinger so that you do get notified when that content goes up. Now we move to our the next in the series of our must-have apps category. And this week we are looking at OCR apps. Now OCR, as many of you will know, will stand for Optical Character Recognition. And this is about recognizing printed text and having it read back to us via speech and perhaps via brailleback. It's a lot easier, I think, to access OCR apps on the phone than it used to be. I remember when KNFB Reader first launched, and you had to pay about £1,500, £1,800 for some questionable Nokia Symbian phone, and then about $100 to buy the KNFB app on Android. But happily, options are much greater now, and in many instances cheaper. What we're going to do primarily today is Warren has a bit of text. He is going to show that text via various different apps, and we'll see what the experience is like on those different apps. Warren, over to you.
Okay, Ed, so you're talking about KNFB Reader. What that reminds me of, though, you forgot that they first started with a Canon camera, and that's how it got started. And I don't remember how much that thing was. Was it using an A95? I don't remember which of the Canon cameras that was, but that's where they got started. Remember that, before they moved to the mobile. And so we've come a long way in trying to get OCR directly on our phones. And of course, as you mentioned, that thing was very expensive. And so was the other one. I want to say, was it maybe like $2,000? I don't remember, to be honest. But anyways, so here we are today, and we have just a plethora of OCR packages that one could have. I probably have over 4 pages of OCR packages in my OCR folder. And today, though, we just want to focus on those that are just mainly intended for the blind. And that would be the likes of Lookout, Envision, Supersense, Sullivan. Plus, ID, for some reason, is crashing on my Android 12. And so I wouldn't be demonstrating the ID OCR today. There's also the scanner, which is from the Voice Dream Reader guys, now Legere. Now it simply says Legere, but it says scanner. So those are the ones that I probably would be putting through. And of course, there's a speak. And I think Austin is going to show us the layout of it. But my main thing is to show who sits on top of that hill. Who's going to be the king on the hill. We'll do this thing offline, see who supports offline and who doesn't. I know for sure that the ID doesn't. So that one is out of the question right now. So I'm going to show you which one does not and which one does what. In other words, I'm going to show you which one does what and which one cannot do that very same thing.
Brilliant. Thanks, Warren. What are you going to start with?
So I think I'm going to put my phone now in the airplane mode.
9:36 a.m. Device unlocked.
Because that's the only way we're going to find out whether or not one does offline mode or one doesn't. Because there are times that you don't want anything of yours to be online. I don't want to be scanning my credit card, for example, with the thing accessing the internet. So I would want to make sure that the one I want to use the most or whatever may have offline support. So I'm going to put my phone in airplane mode, and then we'll try these things and see who is king and or who is queen.
I think the other thing to say about offline mode, that's right. If you do want to use an app that does use an online mode, you might want to get in touch with that app and see what security standards and protocols they comply with. Because obviously there are security standards and protocols that they could comply with, which might make you feel more comfortable with that. But in general, I agree with Warren. Stick to one that uses offline.
Turn on airplane mode.
Airplane.
As you can hear, I'm using one of the Voxygen voices, and this is Amanda, the sad lady. But I wanted to make sure that we have the same TTS engine as I try to read this thing that I have written out. So I have set my phone now to the airplane mode, and I will now bring my page of the OCR packages and go through the ones that we've mentioned.
Camera, folder, OCR, 4. Lookout, folder opened 4x4.
And sometimes lighting, or not sometimes, but in reality, lighting plays a very important role when it comes to doing OCR. And if you don't have good lighting, sometimes you're not going to get good result unless, of course, the OCR package in question has auto flash. And if it doesn't, sometimes some of them have manual flash that you can turn on. And so I don't have lighting in here. So I'm going to start with Lookout. I'm going to move away from the microphone a little bit. So I'm going to turn up the volume a little bit so you can hear. Because the setup that I have here does not afford me to have the page in front of the microphone. So it's to the side.
Lookout.
Lookout.
Accessibility volume set to 80%. Lookout documents mode. Change language English selected. Button. Move device towards bottom right. To close, move away. Try taking a snapshot to scan what's in doc. Take snapshot. Scanned item details. Close details button.
Okay, so I just took a picture of it. Sometimes, it keeps telling you, hey, you're too close or whatever, or it could just simply say, hey, go ahead and take the picture. And so that's what I just did. And so I'm going to put my finger down to read what I just took a picture of.
Hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. As we continue with the must-have apps, we come to the 29th episode in which the OCR Packages happens to be the category for discussion. Who's going to be crowned king? Stay tuned as we put these apps to the test.
So that's Lookout, and that's in the document mode. Now, some apps have both document mode and instant read. So this is the document mode in Lookout. I will now try the instant read and see what we get. So I'm going to back out of here.
Move device text mode. 3 of
I'm
7.
going to
In
tap
list
on
7
text.
items. Can detect text. Text. Selected. Lookout text mode. Hello everyone and thank you so much for joining us Todd as we continue with the must-have apps. Come to the OCR Packages happens to be the category for Decius Cian, who's going to be crowned king. Stay tuned as we put these apps to the test.
I don't know if you are able to hear that, but that was
Pixel
the
launcher.
instant read. And of course, there was maybe one or two. For instance, in discussion, I think it kind of maybe missed the letter N and also another letter somewhere. And that's the instant read, because the instant read, unlike the document mode, however, does not have the guide. I will now move to the next, and
Folder OCR. Sullivan Plus.
we have Sullivan Plus. Now, Sullivan Plus is another one, and I'm going to open that app and let's take a look.
Text recognition. Text recognition. Capture. Button. Capture with the volume keys. Capture button. Text
I'm going to
capture.
capture.
Button. Capture. Internet is not connected.
Aha. I am told that internet is not connected. So Sullivan Plus, you must have an internet connectivity. And since I'm already in an airplane mode, I'm not going to bother about trying to enable internet right now. I'll keep going. And so I'm going to close out of Sullivan Plus. Okay.
Sullivan Plus. 15 of 15. Folder OCR. Lookout.
The next one we want to take a look at
Supersense.
will be Supersense, and we'll see if Supersense allows me to do offline or not. I'm going to tap on Supersense.
Supersense. Menu. Button. Start reading. Button.
I'm going to try the document mode first, just like I did with Lookout, and then I'll do the start reading, which is the instant read.
Tap to switch read mode. Current.
And it crashed on my Android 12. This is not
Pixel
good.
launcher. Home.
Let's try again.
Supersense. Menu. Button. Start reading. Button.
I'm just going to hit the start reading, which would be the instant read mode, because I tried to switch the reading modes and it simply crashed on me. So here I go.
I'm reading text. Please point your camera to text. Sound settings. Everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Continue with the must-have apps. We've come to the 2 pages happens to be the category for discussion. Going to be crowned king. Honored as we put these apps to the test. Hello everyone and thank you so much, Phil. As we continue with the must-have app OCR Packages happens to be the category who's going to be crowned king. Stay tuned as we put these apps to the...
That was low. I couldn't turn up the volume there, but I'm trying to see if I could switch that.
Tap to switch read mode. Current mode.
Oh no, it crashed again.
Close app button.
Okay, that's Supersense. Let's move
Pixel
over
launcher.
now to
Folder OCR for our Lookout. ID Pro. Envision AI.
Envision is one of those.
Envision AI. Magnifier button.
So I'm going to start with the document mode.
Turn flash on button. Start read. Read document.
Okay.
It looks like you are not connected to the internet. Some functions might not be available. Okay, button.
And I'm told that it looks like I'm not connected to the internet and some functions may not be available. Okay. Though what I thought, though, it does have
Okay, button.
the offline
Envision AI.
capability, I thought, because in the settings, it does, let's see.
Find general tab 2 of 5. Find glasses tab. Help tab.
And
Help.
that's in the help, there's the settings. Let's see.
Check subscriptions. Account details. Check subscriptions. What's new? Help heading. Read tutorials. Give feedback. Request to call. Settings. Heading. Offline instant text recognition. Faster recognition with instant text for languages based on Latin scripts. Switch ON.
Okay.
Automatic line. Offline instant text recognition. Faster recognition.
Yeah, so offline is checked.
Automatic language detection. Automatically read the text in the detected languages. When turned off, text will be read in your phone's default language. Switch ON.
Okay, let's see. Let's try something.
Automatic language detection. Automatically read the text in the detected languages. When turned off, text will be read in your phone's default language. Off. Showing items 1
Let's
to 13
try
of
that,
20.
see if it makes any difference. Okay. I'm going to try one more time. Let's see.
Read document out of list. It looks like you are not connected to the internet. It looks like okay. Envision
Well,
AI,
folks, I'm
reduct-
not going to waste our time on that. So Envision apparently
Envision
is not
AI.
letting me do
Home screen, one of-
offline mode. Now I'm going to move to the next.
Camera, folder, OCR, 4 or more items, speak.
Here's speak. Let's try speak.
Speak, flash automatic. Document, button.
And I'm going to tap on document here on speak.
Speak, 11%. Progress bar, 11%.
So much for joining us today. As we continue with the must-have apes, we come to the 2 OCR packages happens to be the category for discussion.
0%.
Who's going to be crowned king? Stay tuned as we put these apes to the test.
I'm going to try the instant.
Scan button.
So you tap
Window.
on scan and then you tap on text.
Barcode. Text.
Okay, so here's the instant read. And I think this one gives you like a guidance mode. So I'm going to tap here.
Scanning text. Speak. Speak. Scan text. Out of list.
Move right. Move right. Move left. Move right. Move left. Move right.
Oh, come on.
Hello everyone and thank you so much for joining us today. As we continue with the must-have apes, we come to the 29th episode in which they're the category for discussion. OCR packages happens to be who's going to be crowned king. Stay tuned as we put these apes to hello.
So that was speak. I think we have
Home screen, one of
one
five.
more that is specially made for the blind, and that would be the Voice Dream Scanner, formerly known as Voice Dream Scanner and now called Legere, Legere. And I'm going to find that I think is on my 4th page of the OCR folder.
Folder. OCR. Logout. Folder.
Let's see here.
Page 2. KNFB Reader. Mobile Docs Scanner.
Oh, there's KNFB Reader. And you know what? It was working on Android 12. Now that I've found it, how about we give it a test? Shall we do that, Ed? I think we should.
I think we
KNFB
should. I think we
reader.
should give it a run. The venerable old stager. You know, he's a veteran. He's been sat in the bleachers for a bit, but maybe he's fit to pitch when all the other pitchers are injured. Let's get him on.
You are right. This is a veteran, and we need to give it that respect, shall we?
It's game 7. No one else is fit. He's gonna be the opening
Stack.
pitcher.
KNFB Reader.
Okay.
It's on you, KNFB.
KNFB Reader. Unlock full version button. Disabled.
Oh, maybe it probably has to download all the stuff first, because I've never used it, so it'll be unfair to say it doesn't work offline because it first needs to download some sort of a package. And so I need to turn on my internet back on. Turn off airplane mode.
Google Assistant. Tap to dismiss Assistant.
There we go. So airplane mode is
The power.
off.
Austin.
So let's see
Recent
here.
apps. Home screen 1 of 5. Folder. OCR. Logout.
Let's go bring up KNFB Reader
Page 2 of
again.
3. Page 3. KNFB Reader. Take picture. Take picture of the document and read the text. Button. KNFB Reader.
Okay.
Select up. Take picture. Take picture of the document and read the text. Button.
Okay, seems like it's
Message.
working now.
Telegram. Penned messages.
And now, since it's working, I'm going to go back to the airplane mode. Turn on airplane mode. All right, I believe that I have turned it on.
Pixel Launcher.
Let's see.
App. Recent apps. Google. KNFB Reader. KNFB Reader. Take picture. Take picture of the document and read the text. Button. Out of list. Take picture. Page 1 of 1. Settings.
I took the picture.
Redo OCR. Button. Add page to document. But view image. Button. Save document. Button. Next sentence. Button. Play button. Pause. Play. Pause. Play.
Nothing happened. Let's.
Redo OCR. Change text recognition. Redo OCR button. Set language. Current selection English button. Select document type. Current type multi-column button. Change text recognition. Redo OCR button.
Okay, I'm gonna try again one
Page
more
one.
time because
Take picture. Take
I'm giving
picture
it
of
a
the document
benefit
and
of
read
the
the
doubt.
text. Button. KNFB Reader. Take picture. Field of view report. Report camera position relative to the document.
Let's
Button.
try that and see.
No report available. Please try again. Field of view report. Report camera position relative. Take picture. Take picture of the document and read the text. Take picture.
And it just crashed.
Pixel launcher. Home.
Okay, I bet KNFB Reader doesn't want me to do it offline.
Folder. OCR.
Let's
file,
go
logout,
to
folder open.
Voice Dream or Legere.
My eyes. Scanner.
I think this is it.
Scanner. Ledger. Capture image button.
Now, with Legere, what happens is that you hear these tones. The louder the tone is, that tells you that all four corners are in view. And when you hear that, then you need to just hold your camera steady and then it will shoot the picture. And once it shoots the picture, don't move the camera away because if you do, it may skew some text. So just hold that until what has been scanned is being displayed, or if it starts reading for you, if you've chosen to do the auto read. So I'm going to point it at my document, and because we have the different modes as well.
9:58 a.m. Device unlocked. Scanner. Capture image button. Processing. Discard button.
When it finishes processing, you hear that click sound.
Hello everyone and thank you so much for joining us today. As we continue with the must-have apps, we come to the 29th episode in which the OCR Packages happens to be the category for discussion. Who's going to be crowned king? Stay tuned as we put these apps to the test.
And that was the Legere or Voice Dream Scanner. Now, let's see. I don't think it has an instant
Audio settings button.
mode.
View text or image showing text button. Audio settings. View text or image. Enhance image off. Edge detection button. Hello everyone and thank you so much for joining.
Okay,
Edge enhance view text audio settings. Play button.
that's the play.
Hello everyone and thank you so much for joining us today. As we continue with the must-have apps, we come to the 29th episode in which the OCR Packages happens to be the category for discussion. Who's going to be crowned king? Stay tuned as we put these apps to the test.
Okay, so that,
Discard button.
and I could discard
Keep button.
or keep. So you could either discard or keep, and so I'm going to go
Discard button.
discard.
Capture image button.
Okay, let's
Batch
see.
mode off button.
There's batch mode.
Auto capture on button. Image preview double tap to settings button. Import photo button. Edge detection on button. Flash off button. Capture image button.
As you can
Pixel
see,
launcher. Home screen one of
I am not showing any of the settings or the layout and all of that. All that we were interested in is the ability to capture text. Now, some of them do barcode reading, which we didn't get into. However, I think Austin wanted to show the layout of the Speak app, right, Austin?
Yeah, I want to show the layout of Speak app.
Speak. Speak is using your camera. Tap to change. Accessibility volume set to 80. Settings. Flash automatic.
So the topmost button is called the Flash Automatic, which is the auto flash that Warren spoke about.
Settings.
Then we have settings under that. Let's go in that.
Pop-up window. Select text to speech engine in list.
You can select your TTS
Language detection.
and detect all the languages that you want it to detect.
Set talking speed.
Set your talking speed.
Set text size.
And the text size is, it will show you how big the text is on the screen. Like you can change the text size that appears on your screen.
Set text recognition engine.
You can select different engines,
Set
and
text
the one it
recognition
supports
engine.
is
Checked. Speak offline in Google Lens online.
either Speak Offline or
Back.
Google Lens Online.
Speak. Text selection.
You can do text selection here, but I have no text, so I cannot show
Color
that.
detection.
It can detect colors, so that is nice. So that is it from the
Back.
settings window.
Speak. Settings. More options. Button.
Then you have more
Pop-up
options.
window. Chat. Enlist. Tutorial.
There is chat, tutorial.
Invite friends.
You can invite friends to speak
Rate app.
and rate app.
Contact developer.
So that is it from the options.
Speak. More op. Document. Button.
So these are the different modes of the app, and this clicking that you hear is because I'm moving the phone around. I'm not moving the phone where there is any text, but every time the focus changes, you can hear this clicking sound.
Identify. Button.
You can identify things,
Feature requires Google Lens.
which uses
Play
Google
Store.
Lens.
0. Back. Speak.
I don't
is
have.
Using your camera. Tap to change.
So that is it from the speech layout. It's very simple app. There is nothing much in the layout of Speak. It's a very simple OCR app.
And like I said, I didn't show the layout of all these other ones, but they have the layouts. You can go in there and check all their layouts and all of that. But so, our verdict, guys, after hearing all of these, what do you guys think? Who sits on the top of that hill as king?
Well, one thing that strikes me is we've set the bar very, very high.
Yeah, we did.
seemingly, By requiring offline mode, because what we've essentially done is eliminated probably the two most popular Android OCR apps, Lookout aside, and that is InVision and Supersense.
Okay, you know what? Let me bring the internet back.
I think you should.
Yeah,
I think
you
need
made
to
a
demo InVision and Supersense.
you made
I
a
think
good point.
Yeah, I think they are not on the top of the hill, but I think we need to demonstrate them. Let's bring the internet back.
You are right, Ed. We should now. I'm gonna switch to the internet mode, and then we'll do this test again. Run them through.
10:05 a.m. Device unlocked.
Turn off airplane mode.
Google Assistant.
Now I'll try Supersense
Pixel launcher.
and InVision because we've already done the other ones, and those ones
Message
flew
tele-
in the offline mode, so which is good.
Folder OCR. Lookout.
All
Filter,
right,
4x4.
so here we go. I'm moving away now a little
Pixel
bit.
launcher. It's Supersense. Sullivan Plus.
We'll start with Sullivan Plus.
Text recognition. Zoom out button.
Okay, I'm going to capture. Usually it tells you text detected.
Correct capture. Button. Capture with the volume keys. Hello everyone and thank you so much for joining us today. We continue with the must-have apps. We come to the 29th episode. Packages happens to be the category for discussion. As going to be crowned king, tuned as we put these apps to the test. Text not detected.
Now, so it will tell you text not
Capture,
detected
button,
or text
capture with the
detected.
volume.
Now,
Text detected.
what I
Sullivan
like
Plus,
about
13.
Sullivan Plus is the fact that it also does handwritten material, which Lookout does not. And I think that, Ed, you remember if Legere does handwritten material? I don't
I'm not sure.
remember.
InVision certainly does.
Yeah, I know InVision does.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Legere does.
I'm not certain on that, so I can't say for sure that it does or does not. Anyways, that was Sullivan Plus. I will now go on and invoke InVision.
A Supersense
Folder
you need to do
OCR
as
for
well
more
at
items.
some point.
Lookout.
Yes, so both
Yeah.
Supersense and InVision.
Yeah.
Grow. InVision AI. InVision AI. Magnifier button.
Okay, so I'm not hearing complaint about internet and
Read document. Out of list.
the document.
Move bottom right. Move away from the document. Move bottom. Move bottom. Move left. Move left. All edges visible. Hold steady. Process. Navigate up button. Document reader settings. Hello everyone and thank you so much for joining us today. As we continue with the must-have apps, we come to the 29th episode in which the OCR Packages happens to be the category for discussion. Who's going to be crowned king? Stay tuned as we put these apps to the test.
And that is your Envision document mode. Let's do the instant read, right?
Start reading instantly.
Okay, let's try that.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. As we continue to know WTH, the must-have apps, we come to the 29th episode in which OCR Packages happens to be the category for discussion. Who's going to be crowned king? Stay tuned as we put these apps to the test. No text found.
So there were a couple of misses there,
Envision AI, magnifier.
just like we had in both Lookout and Speak in the instant read. All right. Now, the next one we want to take a look at would be the Supersense.
Folder OCR for Lookout. Supersense. Supersense. Menu button. Start reading button.
So I'm going to start with the document mode first, and then I'm going to go to the instant read. It really doesn't matter. We'll start with the instant read.
I'm reading text. Please point your camera to a text. E. GRNG. OE. E. EG. E. NGNG. IE. TE.
Okay. Do I need to say anything about that?
Start reading button.
All right, so I'm going to hit start reading
So,
again.
so I think you need to do the document read in Supersense.
Yeah, whenever I try to switch to the document mode, it crashes.
Oh yes, that even
Yeah.
when you're online.
Yeah. So, and I think it's because it's Android 12.
Yeah, I
if
think
I were
that's
running
right.
Android 11, it probably wouldn't have been the case. But we may not judge it based on this. So I'm going to try the instant read again.
Yeah. No, sorry, the instant
Please
read
point
I
your camera
missed.
to a text. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. As we continue with the must-have apps, we come to the 29 OCR Packages happens to be the category for discussion. Who's going to be crowned king? Stay tuned as we put these apps to the test.
That's funny because earlier on it didn't work. But I think after I clear it from the recent apps, now let's see if I could try to clear it away and then to see if I could bring up the document mode. So I'm going to clear it away
Supersense.
from the recent
Pixel.
apps.
Envision AI.
Okay.
Showing item home. Out of home screen 1 of 5. Folder OCR. Lookout. Supersense.
And let's see if we could
Supersense.
get,
Menu. Flashlight on start. Tap to switch read mode.
and it crashed again. It's just,
App info button. Supersense keeps
Yeah.
stopping.
yeah.
That's a shame.
App info. Close app.
Yeah.
Pixel
So
launcher.
I'm
Main
sorry,
reason.
I couldn't
Screen
do Supersense in its true sense of the word, but at least you get an idea. And so that would be Supersense. And now let's discuss a little bit. After giving these guys permission, 3 for sure that we know work offline, and that would be Lookout, Speak, and Legere, formerly known as Voice Dream Scanner.
And what's interesting about that is, with the exception of Sullivan Plus, they are the 3 cheapest. So Lookout and Speak are free.
Absolutely free.
Voice Dream Scanner is $4.99. Now, Supersense offers some stuff for free, but it doesn't offer the document reader for free. That's on subscription. Envision is subscription. And I think KNFB Reader, you buy it differently. It's an in-app purchase, so I can't see how much it is, but I'm pretty sure it's more than $4.99.
Oh, definitely it's more than that. Well, well, all these 3, I want to say that both Envision and Supersense started out, was it maybe like $200? And when a cry went out from the community, and I'm talking about our blind community, they slashed the prices by half, placing it at $100 for the lifetime subscription. And then now and then you may have a sales going on like what we have right now. Supersense is on sales, 40% off, which is $60 here in the US. What happens though is that if you're outside the US, you may be in a different region. It may be cheaper for you, so they're kind of like trying to price it accordingly. So, $60 here in the US. I wish it was 60 cents.
Yeah.
And it's probably maybe about 60 pounds at the end.
It is. They've done pound for dollar, which means we get gypped slightly, but never mind. That's what it is.
Well, actually, I think you guys. Oh yeah, so if you're $60, so it's kind of a little bit $60, 60 pounds. I can talk. So you guys kind of. Maybe it should have been maybe like 50 something pounds, right?
I think, yeah.
Or at least maybe 55 pounds or something like that. But
and it's not.
if they're charging you 60 pounds, so it's the 40% off. That's what it is, and that's what they're basing it off at. So if you're in a particular region and the price is like maybe 100 in your own currency, that 40% off is going to be 40 off. You're getting it at 60 and something like that.
But they, if you take, I mean, yes, that's on sale. It's worth just talking about the different ways that Envision and Supersense handle subscription. Though their normal retail price is $100, £100, but that's not the same if you want to subscribe per month or per year. So Supersense per month is £4.99, and I think $4.99 and $49 for the year. In contrast, Envision is $1.99 a month and $19 for the year, albeit the lifetime subscriptions are identical. So you need to think what sort of bet you're making with yourself if you buy a lifetime subscription for those apps. For Supersense, you are essentially saying that you think the app will be around for about 2 years. If you buy a lifetime subscription, because it's, as I say, $49 a year or $4.99 a month. Bear in mind that Supersense does offer some features for free, like the instant read. Envision doesn't offer anything for free, but then again, its annual and monthly subscriptions are much cheaper than Supersense's. But if you buy the lifetime subscription for Envision, to make that back, you need the app to last for 4 or 5 years. So just things to think about. And I do think it's interesting that those two, which work out if you subscribe to them to be the most expensive, require you to be online when scanning documents.
That was a nice summation of what these things all come down to, especially the two, the Supersense and the Envision. And it's really interesting that Supersense is charging $4.99, $5 a month if you want to do a monthly subscription, to the $2 a month if you're going the route of the Envision. So there you are. You make your choice accordingly, and or get the lifetime, and both would cost you the same price, $100. Or maybe it depends on the region. Could be cheaper in other regions. I don't know, but I'm basing it off the US and the UK markets. It's £100 or $100, right? Ed, is it $100?
That's right.
£100 at your end? Yeah.
Now, if we want to be fair, we should say that Supersense and Envision include other stuff, not just text reading. So, like, I can't remember if they both do all of it, but things like currency scanning, scene description, barcode reading. So we are focusing on OCR today, so there are other features. Nonetheless, I think it is interesting that the cheaper apps do offline scanning and those two don't.
Yeah, and the other ones do have some of those features as well. We didn't go into those features, as all that we are interested in today was just the ability to scan text, because in the scan mode of the Supersense Speak, you will find things like, currency reading, barcode, color detection, and all of that. And then the scene detection is also there in Lookout, and things like that, or food label and things like that. So these are some of the things, added benefits to those. If you want to scan a barcode, some do well, some don't do well. But again, we were focusing on the ability to scan text. whether they can scan text online or offline, and you saw what the results are. So that is what we are calling the battle of the OCR packages. Who winds up on top of that hill?
Yeah, who's on top then, Warren? What do you think? Who won?
Austin, who do you think sits on the top of this throne?
I think Lookout sits on top because there were hardly any misses and it does everything offline. I don't think there was even a single miss with Lookout.
The document mode was absolutely perfect, and the instant mode, there were a couple misses. It missed letter N in the word discussion, and I think it missed another letter in one of the words. I don't remember. Now the Legere, which is unsung hero, also I think had a couple misses. So it's kind of real hard to determine, but I think I want to go with Austin that Lookout probably will sit on the top because at least it gives you that guidance mode verbally as to the tonal thing that the Legere does. And of course, it depends on the person in question. Some may prefer hearing the tone, and the higher the tone with this Legere Scanner, that says, hey, you are having all four edges detected as to the voice guidance of the Lookout.
I would agree. Those two are top. I don't mind Legere's voice guidance. We didn't hear it, but among the also rans, if you're looking at Supersense and Envision, overall I do prefer the Envision app, but I think Supersense's voice guidance is better. The language is more natural than Supersense's. Move top. What does move top means? What it really should say is something like move phone away from you, or move phone towards top of the page. I don't like Envision's voice guidance.
Yeah. Just maybe move left, move right. It sounds better
Those
to
are
me.
fine.
Yeah,
but if you need to move it so that you can see the top of the page, what does move top mean? I don't really like move top.
Yeah, move to top of the page, or something like that.
Something like
Yeah,
that. Move left and right are fine. We know what they mean.
And we
move
know
away from document. That's fine. It's the vertical axes I don't think Envision's got right. Supersense does it better.
Yeah. So that's the battle of those things. So who do you vote for, Ed?
I think I give it to Lookout on the nod. I think Lookout by a nose. Lookout on the dip. As they kicked off the bend with 350 to go with Lookout and Legere Scanner. I think Lookout edges out Scanner just.
I agree, and I think second would be the without a question would be the Legere, and of course Speak. I was surprised though that Speak did very well.
Speak showed well. It ran a quality final bend, I thought, Speak, to stay in the mix, and then it got the bronze medal, I thought.
So those are our top three picks, and that would be Lookout, Legere, and Speak. Now,
Two of them are free and one of them's cheap.
Yes, and that's right. So the first one is absolutely free. The second one only costs you $5. And the third one is absolutely free. So, for me, free always sounds good. And so, it's a win-win-win-win in all three situations for both the Lookout and the Speak scanning apps.
So unusually, consensus breaks out amongst your co-host on not only the best of the apps, but I think the order as well. Which is unusual. So it must mean we've got something right.
It is very unusual because usually we don't necessarily agree, but we're all in agreement on this. So I think something is right here.
We don't usually agree. Warren thinks pixels are better than one.
That's another battle for another day. The fun battle. Oh my gosh. Well, this has been wonderful, man. I love the exercise.
Yeah, definitely. Good thorough testing of the OCR apps, I think.
Yeah.
And now we move to our In Focus section, and you should definitely keep a lookout for this, literally, because we are talking to Scott Adams and Zoe Ortiz from Google about the aforementioned and previously demonstrated Lookout.
We are joined by two wonderful people from Google. From the Lookout department, we have Zoe and Scott. Guys, would you please introduce yourselves to our listeners so we can talk about the wonderful product, and that would be Lookout.
Sure. My name is Scott Adams, and I am the product manager on the Google Lookout team. Let me go ahead and hand it over to Zoe.
Hi, I'm Zoe, and I cover all of our accessibility and disability inclusion PR at Google.
Thank you so much, guys. We're excited that you have joined us. And Lookout has been a product that we've been using for quite a while now. And how about you guys tell us a little bit about the history when we got started? I think we got started, was that in 2018? I want to say somewhere around 2018, but I don't remember. I like to be the historian, and sometimes I get my dates mixed up. If you guys have any of history of that, could you share that? Tell us when that was, or the process of doing it and what led you to doing so, and things like that.
Sure. And I may see if Zoe can fill in any of the early days details. I was not on the team when it originally formed, but I can give you a bit of a feel for it. So I know we had our official 1.0 launch back in very early 2019. We've done a lot of work before then, though. And it kind of give you an idea of where it started. As you probably know, at Google, we're often trying to build products with and for people with disabilities, and really trying to leverage the power of technology to make the world more accessible and enabling folks with disabilities to have more options to live more independently if they wish. And the idea really started within the overall accessibility team. We're working on a lot of different projects with different groups that was trying to make the phone more accessible, or make apps more accessible, or kind of do things that were really intended to make the device itself more accessible, which is important and was great work. And then someone had the idea, well, what if we kind of turn that work outwards? What if we can make the physical world more accessible? What if we could use the camera and start looking around and trying to understand what's in the environment and providing information back to the user? And that was really kind of the inception, the big idea that kicked off Lookout. And that's kind of where we began. Zoe, did I leave anything important and juicy out of that?
No, you did not.
Great. Because I remember it was during one of those Google I.O.s, and they had mentioned something in passing to that effect, and we were all going gaga over it. And we had different ideas. We didn't know exactly what it was going to be like. And I think it was Sundar Pichai. I don't remember who it was that talked about it, and we were so excited about it. And we were just imagining, hey, I'm going to have like a phone on a lanyard around my neck, and I'm going around and trying to explore things and all of that. And so when it finally came, because I know then, there was the beta that was open to people to test and all of that. And then before it first came out to those of us in the US, and I think for those of us in the US, probably it came in late 2018. I don't remember, before it finally opened to the world. Maybe like as late as last year, wasn't it? I think so.
Yes. So last year was when our V2.0 launched. And that was really a big turning point for us for many reasons. But one thing you did allude to that you're exactly right about is we went from being really a kind of US and English focused application to trying to open it up to the world. We always wanted to do that. We wanted to support all users everywhere. But we really wanted to make sure we understood what people wanted and made sure we were doing a good job delivering before kind of crossing that bridge.
That's great. So guys, you have any questions for Zoe and Scott Adam?
One question I have got, we've got a range of experiences who listen to the podcast. You know, some people are just starting out with Android, some people been using it for years. I just wonder if you could tell perhaps those newer to Android, what is Lookout?
Sure. That's a great question. So the easiest way to think of it is it's a talking camera. So Lookout is going to describe what it's seeing through the camera's lens. And we have a few different modes. So we have ways of recognizing text, either kind of brief incidental text or an entire document. We recognize US currency. We recognize packaged foods by their label or by their barcode. We know that barcodes can sometimes be hiding on different parts of packaging, so actually being able to recognize it by the barcode can be very helpful. And then last but not least, we also have what we call Explore mode, which is the camera trying to describe what it's seeing. So in my environment, that might be a chair and a desk and a wall and a couch. And what we're trying to do here is give a bit more information and flexibility to our users. Many of them prefer to use Lookout with the screen reader that comes with Android, which is called TalkBack. So kind of between those two, we think we can enable a pretty exciting, rich experience for users, for people using Lookout.
Indeed. And, you know, one of my favorite parts of the Lookout has to do with that instant text recognition, because all I do is simply point to a text, and it helps me when it comes to sorting my mail. And that's one of the features that I use the most when I use my Lookout. And it's a great product. I really like it. And most especially the document scanning is another good one. But like I said, the most important thing for me is that the exploration, you know, using it to find things, or, you know, something is in my way, I want to know what it is. Or the food label, Scott, that's probably one of my favorite ones too, because the food label helps me a lot. As a blind person, you know, cooking, because there are days that the cooking falls on my shoulder, and using it to find my ingredients for the cooking. We got a lot of stuff in the pantry, and I don't want to grab dog food or something crazy like that to cook for my family. So I find it to be really interesting because it does not only tell me what it is, but it gives me other information that I probably didn't know was there. So I think for people that are looking for something to know exactly how to go about their eating habits, maybe you're on a diet or whatever, and you want to try to avoid certain things, I'm surprised that thing tells me like the content of the food and all of that. So I find that really helpful as OCR package in helping me figure out what my food has.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And it's exciting to hear. And we really were able to build this by getting a lot of direction feedback from the various testing groups and our partners who could help us understand, okay, what's easy about using packaged food? What's hard about that? What can we do to improve that? So that feature very much was inspired from and directed from folks like you saying, hey, you know, barcodes are a good start, but what else can you do to make this a little bit easier, a little bit faster?
And as it is, I was thinking about this, Scott and Zoe, and I was kind of saying, hey, you know, we got Lookout now, and I hope that, you know, Google doesn't pull it down at some point. And if they do, maybe replace it with something else. But because, you know, we know that, you know, Google and you guys, I love you guys, don't misunderstand me, but you guys have the tendency of pulling down or throwing away stuff that we have come to love. And I hope that you don't pull Lookout down at some point.
Well, that's a great question. And we are absolutely committed to building products and services that can be truly helpful, improve people's lives, and enable more independence and empower our users. And I'm very excited about the opportunity. And we have a lot more to learn also. So that's kind of why I bring up this fact that we work so closely with folks who are blind or low vision, because we'll often come up with hypotheses on our team that we think, oh, maybe this will work, maybe that'll work. Here's a cool feature. And we found that sometimes things that are neat or cool ideas don't actually work the way people who are using the product want them to. And one thing that's really exciting about kind of doing this work is that discovery. And what's even cooler is as we make these discoveries, as we develop these features, we find time and again that features that were built for accessibility often become very useful outside of just those use cases. So like a very broad example would be something like captioning, which we don't do, but other products do. But that's useful for so many people. If I'm in a loud environment, that's useful for me. And going back to Lookout, I have typical sight, but I've actually used Lookout's document mode often to copy and paste a bunch of text from a physical document. I actually find that to be the easiest way to do it. So kind of coming back to the overall question, like this is an area of like ongoing and increasing investment for us. We're really excited about that.
Talking about document mode, Scott, maybe this is more like a request. If we could have the ability to save, I know when one goes back into the history, it's kind of there, but it could be like a feature that we could save documents where I have a folder where I store all my scanned documents or, things like that, or choose a different folder on my phone to store such documents. And also, for us blind people, it's all about the TTS. Our last episode from last week is called That Raving TTS Engine. And for us, it's all about the TTS engines. And so for me, I have like multiple TTS voices, and I like the fact that I want to use a different TTS voice for a different job, like maybe if I'm doing scanning, and I want to use maybe a vocalizer TTS to do my lookout readouts or things like that. I think it would be nice if you guys look into that, because I think that's the missing feature on Lookout that we don't have. And it's a lot of Google products are like that, especially for us, the blind, and inclusively also that has to do with playbooks. And of late, I noticed that Playbooks uses those random voices from Google, which is nice. But we would love to see a capability where we could choose what TTS voice we want to use, or TTS engine, rather, we would like to use with Lookout. I think that would be nice.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I would say you are not the only person asking for that. So it's definitely something that we have had our eyes on.
In terms of another feature, with the Explore mode, I wonder if there'd been any calls for that to be able to take stills, so just to be able to shoot plain photos, because Android's not blessed with many accessible camera apps. Google Camera is, but obviously short of side loading, it's not available for all third-party phones, and then you're sort of down to whatever the manufacturer's done. But Lookout, if it could take stills, probably would be the most accessible camera app on any platform. I wondered if anyone had asked for that.
Interesting. So just to make sure I'm clear on the use case, this is the desire to take photos of any sort with better accessibility tools built into it.
Okay, so Edward is pointing at something, and it tells Edward, you are looking at XYZ, and therefore he wants to shoot that picture knowing he's shooting a picture of XYZ, and therefore knows that I just shot a picture of XYZ, and since Lookout recognizes it as XYZ, that label will then go on that picture that he just shot. So when he goes into his gallery, he's not going to be guessing and trying to find out, where's that picture that I took of my dog or of that cool looking bench in the park. You know what I'm talking about? Is that not what you're talking about, Edward?
Labeling would be the nice to have. I think shooting the picture in the first place and labeling is a logical extension, because the ability to do that with most of the camera apps is limited, and Lookout probably gives the best description. So if it labeled it, all the better, but even to be able to shoot the still.
Yep, that's also one that we have heard before, and is another thing that we have very much on our radar. I realize I'm being a little bit vague about kind of what we might be working on when, but I need to be a little, leave a few more surprises in the bag.
So I've got 3 questions. One is, especially in India, phones are coming with these multi-cameras, 3 back cameras, 4 back cameras. Will Lookout make any improvement if multiple cameras are used, or can it use multiple cameras?
That's a great question. So overall, the performance should remain or improve over time. One thing we look at a lot is how does Lookout perform across a wide range of camera settings, and trying to make sure that we're optimizing for the best image quality coming into Lookout, so that we can then give better results on OCR, on object detection, etc. So we should play very well with the new multi-camera phones coming out.
So the second question is, does Lookout do, or is there any plan to launch the handwriting recognition in the future?
Again, it's a hot topic that is something very much on our radar. I can't say if we'll do it or not or when, but I can tell you it's definitely something that we've been keeping on our list.
Okay, the last question. Can you tell us some of the features that Lookout will come in the future? Some of the features that our listeners can stay tuned for?
Oh, I would love to. I can't do that, but I would absolutely love to. I will say that we are working on some things that we think are pretty exciting, and will move us in some pretty interesting directions. So without being able to give any direct notes, I think folks who are using Lookout will be happy that they are, and I'd say stay tuned on that.
Thanks. So one of the comment how I use Lookout, another use case is I work in the IT department in our office, and when we have to start servers, it takes we have very old servers, so it takes 5 minutes or 7 minutes for the server to boot. So what I do is I use Lookout, and after some time I just go to the screen and do a document recognition or text recognition and see what the booting process is saying. Is there any error, or is it going? I use it for that.
That's fascinating. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great use, Austin. I use that too, when I'm setting up something that doesn't have speech. And I can't tell you how many times that thing has saved my bacon. I'm telling you. So it's a very useful feature, especially that text mode, because it changes with real time. If the screen changes, you want to know what has changed. And so that totally makes sense. And to comment about Austin's second question, Scott, I would love to see when we'll have that handwritten recognition. But then, Google Lens does that. It's something that it kind of goes under the radar. I would love to see us talking more and more about Google Lens. And I think we're going to be focusing on that in our upcoming episode when we talk about OCR packages this weekend, because Google Lens is an unsung hero that needs to be mentioned. It does a lot of things, and all that handwritten recognition is right there in Google Lens. And I always find myself saying, hey, it'll be so neat to see Lookout kind of bundle that feature from Lens or whatever it takes. I happen to be one of those that believe that, Google can do anything. So I'm kind of optimistic that we'll have that down the road sometimes, but it's there in Lens. And if one has to use something for handwritten recognition, that could be something to use, because, Scott, I'm thinking of a student in a classroom and someone is writing something on a chalkboard, and they could use that to read that stuff. And with its current implementation, it has to be a printed text. But if we have handwritten recognition, that would be huge, because I think that's where apps like InVision and Sullivan Plus kind of have that edge over Lookout.
They do some fine work, and we are definitely looking at areas that we want to do similar things, and areas where we may go in a bit of a different direction. But yes, I'd say your feedback from all of you is loud and clear on that one.
Thank you so much. Scott and Zoe, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to chat about Lookout.
No, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. This has been a lot of fun. And anytime you'd like to, we'd be happy to do it again.
Well, great. So how about when some new things happen, we're going to have you come back again and let's talk about those new things and reflect on what we talked about a while ago. And now here we are talking about some new things. How about we do that again? Zoe, are you in?
That sounds terrific. We'd love to.
All right. Good. Thank you
Sounds
so
great.
much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a great day, and thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Great. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Well, that was a really interesting session from a couple of weeks ago. What do you think, Warren?
It was a beautiful sit down that we had together with Scott and Zoe. It was excellent. These are the guys from the Lookout department, and I am glad they got to sit down with us and talk about Lookout and some of the things that they may be bringing in the future. They're working on it. It's a work in progress. And so, like we've seen, Lookout sits there on top of that hill, and it's always been my go-to scanning app for quite a while now, and I'm looking forward to when other different modes come to the Lookout app.
What I'm really looking forward to with OCR apps as well, Lookout included, is when scene descriptions get slightly better. I think at the minute, I'll be charitable and call it a proof of concept rather than gimmicky. But you look at photo descriptions and scenes, and where it says stuff like may contain one person and sky. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with that. I mean, it's kind of interesting and better than the photo descriptions we used to have. I think I've thought about how I think it probably needs to get better, and I think it needs to get better at understanding the relation between different things in the picture. So I don't think at the minute it's describing what a sighted person would see when they look at the photo. I mean, I'm sure AI will get there, but I think that's where I want to see things like Lookout and the other scene description apps that we've looked at, albeit not strictly speaking OCR.
A good observation, sure. And, some of these things, do we have a capability of getting there? I think that we could. Now I'm not deluding myself here. There's certain things that I'm not sure that we could actually really achieve what the regular seeing eye does, But I'm thinking that somehow we're moving in that direction, and one of these days, definitely, we're going to have very accurate description or whatever is going on. I am such an optimist, so I'm thinking we will get there. Right now, there is sometimes a little bit iffy.
Let me give you an example of what I would like it to be. So, Montreal Canadiens got to the Stanley Cup final against the Golden Knights the other day. If you had a picture after that game with a Montreal Canadiens fan who had checked into the stadium, it would probably say something like, one person's sports stadium, maybe a Get Sports jersey. That would be it. What it should probably try and do is see what sports stadium it is, see what sports jersey it is, see when the picture was taken, see what the score was, and try and determine that person's mood based on that picture. So Montreal Canadian fans ridiculously happy because he's got to the Stanley Cup final for the first time in 28 years, rather than picture may contain person in sports stadium, jersey, sky.
Exactly, and that's the type of thing I'm talking about. That body language or facial expression, all of those things. I'm not sure, with our OCR packages, artificial intelligence, catch up in this field or not. These are some of the things.
But it should use the relational data. So if they've checked into the sports stadium and they're wearing the colours that Canadians play in, it could check both of those things. It doesn't need exclusively to rely on the facial expression, I don't think. I think it should be able to use relational outlying factors to make a bit of a judgment call.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. But for now, if you live alone and have material that you need to be read and all of that, you could use one of these and come up with a nice result, and including Sullivan Plus, by the way, if you have internet access. So all of these that we tried, all will do well, really, when it comes to think of it. All of them would do well. Some would need internet access, and while others wouldn't need internet access. So it depends on your situation, where you're at, and all of that. Then make that choice accordingly to suit that particular situation or that need.
Indeed. And I want to reset the moral compass. You might not live alone. You just might want to hide things from your sighted spouse. Not saying you should, but obviously you can.
Yeah, and there are some things that you don't want someone to read for you, and I don't want to be over reliant on either my kids or my spouse or my friend. So this, whether you live alone or don't live alone, it is good to be able to help yourself, and I've always championed that part that, whatever I can do for myself, I don't go asking my wife to help me with it, because I don't want to get her, kind of stressed out after a while, overworked. It's just no good. If I can help myself, I'll do it. I will only ask my wife if everything else fails. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
That's how I do it.
Yeah, that's what I tend to do as
Yeah.
well. And finally this week, the My Android Journey section is brought to us by John Dyer.
Hi, my name is John. I'm from the US, Virginia to be exact, and this is my Android journey. I should probably start by saying that I have a deteriorating eye condition called retinitis pigmentosa. So I've been legally blind for 20 years, and currently I have no central vision at all, and just some light perception in my peripheral vision. But about 10 or 12 years ago, when I first started using smartphones, I had a lot more usable vision, so I didn't need all the accessibility features that I need today. I'm pretty much completely dependent on a screen reader these days, but it wasn't always like that. So, the last feature phone I used was called the LG NV3, and it had a QWERTY keyboard that you could use in landscape mode. It was a slide out keyboard, and I was able to use that phone. I'm not sure if it had any accessibility features. If it did, I didn't use them. I just held it really close to my face, and I could basically just use the tactile bumps on the keyboard to find all the keys with my thumbs, and I got pretty good at typing like that. But that was the last feature phone that I used before I ended up getting a smartphone. And when I did get a smartphone, it actually wasn't an Android phone or an iOS device. It was a Windows phone. It was Windows Phone 7. When they first made the transition from Windows Mobile 6 to Windows Phone 7, it was a completely redesigned UI with touchscreens, and I decided that that was probably the best time to go ahead and get a smartphone, being that I was a big Windows fan at the time. The first Windows phone I got was called the Samsung Focus, and it was just a touchscreen phone. It didn't have a slide-out keyboard, although Windows phones at the time you could get with slide-out keyboards. I decided to just go ahead and try to get used to using a touchscreen, and it actually wasn't as difficult as I thought it was going to be, because when you enabled the high contrast mode in Windows Phone, the way the keyboard worked, it showed you a large preview of whatever key your thumb was on right above your thumb before you would release it. So even though I couldn't see the letters on the keyboard, I could see the preview of the letters before I would release it. So that helped me a lot in transitioning to typing with a touchscreen. I had a lot of Windows phones over the years, and I stuck with them until the very end with Windows Phone 10. And when they called it quits, I had to make the decision to either go to Android or iOS, and it was a very easy decision. I had no interest in iOS at all. So when I switched to Android, I ended up going with the Nexus 6P. I believe it was running Marshmallow at the time, if I'm not mistaken. So it was very user-friendly when it came to accessibility. TalkBack was in a good state at that point, and the magnification gestures were working, and it was just a very mature platform by the time I ended up switching. So it was a great experience for me. I loved it. I just spent hours and hours customizing it, and I couldn't believe what you could do with it. I ended up getting into routing. I ended up getting into ROMs. I used Cyanogen Mod for a long time. And even when I stopped using ROMs, I would still root my devices and use the exposed framework to make my device a little more customizable. So I could set like volume buttons to do what I wanted, or set different fingers on the fingerprint reader to launch different apps and stuff like that. And I just absolutely loved everything I could do with an Android phone. It just became a hobby for me, really. It wasn't a tool like an iPhone is. That's what people love about iPhone, is it just gets done what they need it to do. But in my case, I wanted to play around with it. I wanted to make it work the way I wanted it to work. I didn't want to be told how I'm supposed to do things. And it was just a lot of fun. I've used so many different Android devices over the years. I've tried LG, I've tried HTC. I had a BlackBerry Key 1 when it came out. I've used Samsung phones, OnePlus phones, Pixel phones. But what I've mainly stuck to is Pixel, just because stock Android seems to always work better for me. Also, big fan of OnePlus because I like the features they add to stock, and they keep it pretty stock, so there's not too many issues with accessibility. One of my favorite features on the OnePlus phones in Oxygen OS is the screen off gestures, where you can control your music and launch different apps and turn on and off the flashlight just from doing a gesture on the screen without even having to turn your phone on. So I've had a lot of Pixels over the years, but right now my daily driver is a Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus. I figured I'd go with Samsung this year since they are using TalkBack now instead of Voice Assistant. Also, Google seems to have taken the year off, in my opinion, when it comes to Pixel devices. They didn't really put the best flagship processor in their Pixels, in the Pixel 5, so it looks like that's because they're planning on doing their own silicon for the Pixel 6, which, if that's the case, I'll probably be jumping back on that bandwagon. I do have a Pixel 3a XL right now, just because I like to see what the next version of Android is going to be like, so I have it to run the beta version of the next Android, even though that's not my daily driver. So that's pretty much my Android journey. I tried not to ramble on too much. I really enjoy talking about Android, and I really enjoy listening to the podcast. I haven't been listening that long, just maybe a month or two. And you guys have really done a great job with it. It's nice to find some people with a blind perspective on technology while still being as enthusiastic about the technology as I am. So it's really been a lot of fun for me. So thank you for that.
And that indeed is my most favorite segment of the episode or the podcast. Now, Ed forgot to mention that because I am huge when it comes to the Android journey stories, because these are stories that tell about real life experiences with Android devices. And it's been my favorite and will always be my favorite because some of them bring laughter to your to your lips, and some bring tears to the eye just from laughing and all of that. So it is indeed my favorite segment of the episode, and that's my Android journey story. And thank you so much, John, for giving us your story.
And that for this week, as they say, is a wrap. Austin, how do people find us?
People can find us in many ways. They can find us by visiting us on our website, blindandroidusers.com. They can find a podcast in every app that is used to get podcasts. So they can do that. They can also find a YouTube channel. And as I said in the announcements, it has become very easy now. So it's youtube.com/blindandroidusers. If you have any questions or comments that you want to send us, you can email it to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. And we would like you to come live and give us your Android journey story. But if you want to record and send it to us, you can send it to myandroidjourney@blindandroidusers.com. You can subscribe to our mailing list by sending an email to blindandroidusers plus subscribe at groups.io, and follow us on Telegram, Twitter, and Clubhouse, and the links will be in the show notes. So all this information that I just said will be in the show notes. And that is it from us this week.
See you next week, everyone. Bye-bye.
It flew fast, and we'll see you guys next week. Adios, amigos y amigas. And that has been another episode of the Blind Android Users Podcast. As always, we appreciate hearing from you. You send those email messages to contact us at blindandroidusers.com. For those My Android Journey stories, we encourage you to send those to myandroidjourney@blindandroidusers.com. Until we see you in our next episode, you have a wonderful day.